We often ask ourselves, why do we do what we do? This question emerges because deep within, there is a desire to understand the motivations that drive our actions. You see, the mind is a complex network, always processing, analyzing, and interpreting. But more importantly, the mind is shaped by the experiences it goes through. The circumstances, the environment, and the relationships influence how we respond to life. Our actions, whether small or large, are largely a result of our internal state. If your mind is at peace, your actions will be in harmony. But if your mind is disturbed, your actions will be laced with agitation. It is essential to realize that most of what we do is driven by an unconscious impulse. The body, the emotions, and the intellect are constantly interacting, but it is the unconscious forces that lead us to make decisions, often without full awareness. The core of human behavior lies in our need for fulfillment. Every person has a thirst for something deeper, something beyond just the external achievements or the fleeting pleasures. We act, we strive, and we chase after things because we believe they will bring us that sense of completeness. But what happens when the things we pursue do not deliver that fulfillment? We continue searching, often in the wrong places. We seek approval from others because deep down we are craving validation. From the time we are born, we are conditioned to seek acceptance, to fit in, to be loved. This need for external validation drives much of our actions, how we present ourselves, the choices we make, and even the goals we set. This is not to say that seeking approval is inherently wrong, but it is essential to recognize that true fulfillment comes from within, not from external sources. Now, the idea of control is another layer that affects our actions. There is a deep need within us to control everything. We try to control our surroundings, our relationships, and even ourselves, but real power comes when we let go of control, not in trying to hold on to it. The more we try to control, the more we set ourselves up for conflict. Understanding this allows us to act with more ease, more presence, and more awareness. Another crucial factor is our identity. Many of the things we do are based on how we perceive ourselves. The identities we have, whether it is as a parent, a professional, or a friend, often dictate our actions. But we must realize that we are more than just our identities. We are not limited by these roles. The moment we can step beyond the identity, we begin to act from a place of freedom. Furthermore, emotions play a massive role in shaping our actions. Anger, fear, joy, sadness, these emotions create an internal state that influences our reactions. A person who is angry is likely to act impulsively. A person in fear may withdraw. And a person in joy may act with openness and generosity. Our emotions are like a river, constantly flowing and shifting. The more we learn to ride these waves of emotion with awareness, the more balanced our actions become. Then there is the element of choice. Every moment presents us with a choice. We are constantly making decisions, whether consciously or unconsciously. The freedom to choose is one of the greatest powers we have. But often our choices are influenced by old patterns, by what we have seen others do, or by a set of beliefs that are not entirely ours. It is only when we become truly aware of the options available to us that we can make choices that align with our deepest intentions. The unconscious influence on our actions is vast and subtle. It is a force that operates beneath our awareness, guiding us in ways we often do not understand. Our behaviors, reactions, and decisions are deeply rooted in this hidden realm, shaped by the experiences we've had, the beliefs we've internalized, and the patterns we've repeated over time. These unconscious forces are not easily detected because they exist outside of our conscious thought. They influence us without us even realizing it. Our early childhood experiences are particularly significant in this context. From a young age, we are exposed to various beliefs, norms, and behaviors from our families, communities, and cultures. These early exposures shape our unconscious mind, forming templates for how we interact with the world. For example, a child raised in an environment where emotional expression is suppressed might grow into an adult who struggles with expressing emotions, even if they consciously want to connect with others on a deeper level. Similarly, a person who grew up in an environment where competition was valued over cooperation might unconsciously approach life with a competitive mindset, even in situations that would benefit from collaboration. These unconscious influences are also reinforced by the societal structures and narratives we are part of. We live in a world where success, wealth, and status are often placed on a pedestal, and many of us unconsciously strive for these things because we've been conditioned to believe that they are the ultimate forms of achievement. This conditioning is so deeply embedded that we might pursue these goals even when they don't truly align with our inner desires or values. Moreover, our unconscious is also influenced by our personal experiences and traumas. Past experiences, especially those that we have not fully processed or healed, can continue to shape our responses and decisions without our conscious awareness. For instance, someone who has experienced betrayal may unconsciously develop a distrust of others, leading them to keep emotional distance even when it is not warranted. The pain or fear from these past experiences can create automatic reactions, making us act in ways that are not always in our best interest. The unconscious mind also operates through habitual patterns. Over time, our actions become routines, deeply ingrained in our daily lives. These habits are formed without much thought and often carry a sense of automaticity. We don't consciously think about brushing our teeth, tying our shoes, or even the way we speak with others. These repetitive actions and thought patterns shape our behavior, sometimes without us realizing that we are stuck in cycles that no longer serve us. Sometimes these unconscious influences take the form of inner conflicts or suppressed desires. We may have competing needs that pull us in different directions. On one hand, we may crave security and stability, while on the other, we might yearn for freedom and adventure. These inner contradictions, often buried deep in our unconscious, create tension in our lives, influencing us to act in ways that feel inconsistent or contradictory. For instance, someone who deeply values safety may avoid taking risks even when they desire change, and thus they remain stuck in situations that do not bring fulfillment. The unconscious also plays a significant role in our perceptions of the world around us. Our beliefs, which we may not even be fully aware of, affect how we interpret the events in our lives. For example, if we have a deep belief that the world is a dangerous place, we are more likely to interpret neutral situations as threatening. These unconscious beliefs shape our reactions to people, opportunities, and challenges. In this way, the unconscious influences our worldview and, by extension, the way we engage with the world. The way we filter information, our assumptions, and our expectations are all colored by this unseen force. Even when we think we are making conscious decisions, our unconscious mind is often at play. We might decide to take a certain job, enter a relationship, or move to a new place based on logic or reasoning. But hidden beneath these conscious decisions may be unconscious desires, fears, or attachments that we are unaware of. We often choose what feels familiar, even if it isn't the best option for our growth or well-being, because our unconscious mind gravitates toward what is comfortable, even if that comfort is not always healthy or fulfilling. The influence of the unconscious extends into how we react to others as well. Much of our behavior towards other people is driven by unconscious judgments and projections. If we have unresolved issues from our past, we may project them onto others, attributing motives and intentions to people based on our own fears or insecurities. We might react to situations in a manner that doesn't truly align with the present moment, but rather stems from past wounds that have not been fully addressed. Understanding the unconscious influence on our behavior is a critical step toward greater self-awareness. By becoming more aware of the patterns, beliefs, and conditioning that shape our actions, we can begin to disentangle ourselves from unconscious drives that may not serve us. However, this requires a deep willingness to look within and confront the parts of ourselves that are hidden from view. Only by shining a light on these unconscious forces can we begin to make more conscious choices and live in a way that is truly aligned with our deepest desires and values. Our internal state plays a profound role in determining how we experience and respond to the world around us. It is the lens through which we perceive life and dictates our reactions to every moment, every situation, and every relationship. This internal state, which is composed of our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and physical sensations, directly influences the choices we make and how we engage with our environment. When our internal state is calm and at peace, we tend to act with clarity and purpose. Our responses to external events are measured and thoughtful. We are able to think clearly, make rational decisions, and engage in interactions with a sense of openness and understanding. In such a state, we are less likely to be swayed by impulsive emotions or external pressures. We act from a place of centeredness where the noise of the world does not overwhelm us, and we can make choices that align with our values and intentions. However, when our internal state is disturbed, whether by stress, fear, anxiety, anger, or any other intense emotion, we are more likely to react impulsively and irrationally. These emotions cloud our judgment and often lead us to act in ways that we may later regret. For example, when we are angry, we may lash out at others without considering the consequences of our words or actions. Similarly, when we are fearful, we may avoid opportunities or shut ourselves off from potential connections simply because our internal state tells us that something is unsafe or uncertain. In moments of emotional turbulence, our responses are often driven by instinct rather than thoughtful reflection. The way our internal state influences our actions is not just limited to emotions. Our physical state also plays a crucial role. If we are physically exhausted, hungry, or unwell, we are more likely to become irritable, impatient, or disengaged. Our bodies and minds are deeply interconnected, and the state of one affects the other. When our physical health is compromised, our mental and emotional health often follows suit, making it more difficult to maintain a sense of balance and clarity. Moreover, our beliefs and perceptions about the world also shape our internal state. If we believe that life is a struggle or that people are untrustworthy, our internal state will be one of tension, anxiety, and defensiveness. On the other hand, if we hold beliefs that life is full of potential and opportunities, our internal state will be more open, optimistic, and receptive. These beliefs, whether conscious or unconscious, create an emotional and psychological environment that influences how we navigate life. The more we align our beliefs with the reality we wish to experience, the more our internal state can support us in achieving our goals and finding peace. Our internal state is also a reflection of our emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions as well as the emotions of others. When we develop emotional intelligence, we become more aware of our internal state and can better regulate our emotions. We learn not to be controlled by them, but instead to observe them, understand their source, and choose how to respond. Emotional intelligence enables us to transform a reactive state into a proactive one, where we consciously choose how we want to engage with the world. One of the most powerful tools in managing our internal state is mindfulness. When we practice mindfulness, we create a space of awareness between stimulus and response. This pause allows us to observe our thoughts and emotions without immediately reacting to them. It gives us the opportunity to assess whether our emotional reaction is aligned with the situation at hand or whether it is being influenced by past experiences or unconscious patterns. Through mindfulness, we can train ourselves to remain grounded, even in the face of adversity, and make choices that are not dictated by momentary emotions but by a deeper sense of awareness. The internal state also reflects our sense of self-worth and inner peace. When we feel secure in ourselves, we are more likely to act from a place of confidence and resilience. However, when we are unsure of our value or feel disconnected from our true selves, we may seek validation from external sources, which can cause our internal state to fluctuate depending on the approval we receive. The more we cultivate a strong sense of inner peace and self-acceptance, the less likely we are to be swayed by the opinions or judgments of others, and the more stable our internal state will remain. The connection between our internal state and external actions is undeniable. Everything we do, every decision we make, and every relationship we engage in is a reflection of how we feel internally. When we are at peace within ourselves, our actions naturally align with our higher purpose, and we are able to interact with the world in a way that promotes harmony, understanding, and growth. Conversely, when our internal state is in turmoil, our actions are often reactionary, disjointed, and misaligned with our true intentions. The key to living a more intentional and fulfilling life lies in cultivating a balanced and harmonious internal state, for it is from this space that we can navigate the world with clarity and purpose. Fulfillment is a deeply personal and transformative experience, one that transcends external achievements and material success. At its core, fulfillment is the sense that we are living a life that is meaningful, aligned with our true self, and purpose-driven. It is not simply about obtaining things or reaching goals, it is about experiencing a deep sense of contentment and inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. It is an internal state that arises when we are in harmony with ourselves and the world around us. The pursuit of fulfillment often leads us on a journey of self-discovery. It begins with the realization that true satisfaction does not come from external sources such as wealth, status, or approval from others. These things may offer temporary pleasure, but they do not bring lasting fulfillment. We often find ourselves chasing after more, believing that the next achievement, the next possession, or the next validation will complete us. Yet the more we chase, the more elusive fulfillment seems to become. The key to fulfillment lies not in external acquisitions, but in understanding and connecting with the deeper aspects of our being. Many people spend their lives pursuing societal definitions of success, climbing the corporate ladder, acquiring material possessions, gaining recognition. But these pursuits often lead to a hollow feeling, a sense of emptiness that remains even after the goal has been achieved. This happens because external achievements are not reflective of who we truly are. They may validate us in the eyes of the world, but they do not feed our inner need for meaning, love, and connection. True fulfillment is rooted in knowing ourselves deeply. It is a process of self-inquiry where we ask ourselves what we truly value, what brings us joy, and what aligns with our deepest sense of purpose. When we are clear about what we want out of life, not based on societal expectations, but based on our authentic desires, we can begin to take actions that reflect those values. Fulfillment arises when our daily actions, our thoughts, and our intentions are in harmony with our true self. This alignment brings peace and a deep sense of satisfaction because we are no longer living according to someone else's script. Fulfillment also comes from the quality of our relationships. As human beings, we are wired for connection, and it is through meaningful relationships that we experience some of life's deepest joys. However, it is important to recognize that relationships, like any external aspect of life, cannot be relied upon to fill the void inside us. Fulfillment in relationships arises when we are whole within ourselves, when we can give love without expecting anything in return. The more we cultivate self-love and self-acceptance, the more we can offer love freely to others, and this in turn creates deeper and more fulfilling connections. Another powerful aspect of fulfillment is living in alignment with our values and purpose. When we pursue activities or careers that resonate with our passions, We feel a sense of flow, a state of deep engagement where time seems to disappear. This sense of flow is one of the hallmarks of fulfillment because it indicates that we are doing what we were meant to do. When our actions are aligned with our purpose, we experience a sense of joy that comes from knowing we are contributing to something greater than ourselves. This is not always easy, and it may require courage to step away from what is comfortable or familiar, but it is often in these moments of courageous alignment that true fulfillment is found. Moreover, fulfillment comes from the ability to embrace the present moment fully. So often, we are consumed with worries about the past or future, leaving us disconnected from the richness of the present. Yet, it is in the present moment that life truly unfolds. Fulfillment arises when we are able to fully immerse ourselves in each experience, whether it is a quiet moment of reflection or a joyous occasion with loved ones. When we stop seeking fulfillment in the future or in the next achievement and instead embrace the now, we begin to experience the fullness of life itself. Gratitude is another key to fulfillment. It is easy to focus on what is lacking or what we have yet to achieve, but this focus can keep us from appreciating the abundance that already exists in our lives. When we cultivate gratitude for the small and large blessings that we already have, we shift our mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. This shift in perspective allows us to feel more fulfilled in the present moment, even if we have not yet reached all of our goals or desires. Fulfillment also involves a deep sense of inner peace and acceptance. Life is full of challenges, ups and downs, and the external world is often unpredictable. However, true fulfillment comes when we learn to accept life as it is, without resistance or attachment. This does not mean resigning ourselves to a passive existence, but rather it means engaging with life as it unfolds, trusting that every experience offers an opportunity for growth. When we let go of the need for control and embrace life's inherent unpredictability, we find that fulfillment arises from within, regardless of external circumstances. Ultimately, fulfillment is not something that can be achieved once and for all. It is a continuous process, a journey of becoming more aligned with our true selves, living in harmony with our values, and embracing the present moment. It is found in the quiet moments of self-reflection, in the richness of our relationships, and in the pursuit of purpose and meaning. Fulfillment does not reside in any single external achievement or possession, but in the ongoing process of living authentically and in alignment with our deepest desires. When we embrace this process, we find that fulfillment is always within reach, not as a distant goal, but as a state of being that we can experience in each moment. Validation is an inherent human need, a longing for acknowledgement, acceptance, and recognition. It is something we all seek consciously or unconsciously throughout our lives. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to desire validation from others. As children, we seek the approval of our parents, teachers, and peers. As adults, we continue to seek validation in our relationships, careers, and social circles. The desire for validation is deeply connected to our sense of self-worth and our place in the world. We often tie our value to the recognition we receive from others, believing that our worth is reflected in how others perceive us. At its core, validation is the act of being seen and understood. It is the acknowledgement of our feelings, experiences, and existence. When we feel validated, accepted, and worthy. This validation can come from others, but it can also come from within. Unfortunately, many of us seek validation from external sources, placing our worth in the hands of others. This dependency on external validation creates a cycle of seeking approval that can become draining and unfulfilling. The need for validation is rooted in our evolutionary biology. As social creatures, human beings have always relied on community and connection for survival. In ancient times, our survival depended on being accepted by the group. If we were rejected, we risk being isolated and vulnerable. This need for social acceptance is ingrained in us on a deep instinctive level. We have an innate desire to belong, to be accepted, and to be valued by the group. In modern society, however, this need for validation has transformed into a pursuit of approval, admiration, and recognition, often driven by societal standards and expectations. This external search for validation can create an imbalance in our sense of self-worth. When we derive our value from others' opinions, we place our emotional well-being in their hands. If we receive praise and approval, we feel good about ourselves. But if we face criticism or rejection, our sense of self-worth can plummet. This constant roller coaster ride of highs and lows can leave us feeling emotionally drained, insecure, and dependent on the approval of others. One of the challenges with external validation is that it is often fleeting and conditional. People's opinions are not fixed. What one person may appreciate about us today, another may criticize tomorrow. The praise we receive today may not guarantee the same recognition in the future. External validation is often based on temporary factors such as our appearance, achievements, or behavior. These factors can change. And when they do, so does the validation we receive. This unpredictability can leave us feeling uncertain and unstable, constantly chasing after the next affirmation or approval to fill the void. The desire for validation also ties into the concept of identity. Many of us shape our self-concept based on the validation we receive from others. We may begin to believe that our worth is determined by the roles we play, the titles we hold, or the external achievements we accumulate. The more validation we receive in these areas, the more we identify with them. We start to define ourselves through these external markers of success, and when they are not present, we may feel lost or inadequate. This creates a fragile sense of self, one that is easily shaken by criticism, failure, or rejection. Yet the more we rely on external validation, the more we disconnect from our authentic self. We begin to act in ways that we think will earn approval or avoid disapproval, rather than following our true desires and values. We may suppress parts of ourselves that do not align with what we believe others want or expect from us. In doing so, we lose touch with our inner truth, and our actions become driven by the need for external validation rather than by a genuine sense of self. True validation, however, comes from within. It is the process of recognizing our own worth independent of others' opinions. When we cultivate self-validation, we no longer need others to confirm our value. Instead, we begin to validate ourselves through self-acceptance, self-compassion, and self-awareness. We recognize that our worth is inherent and not based on what others think of us. This internal validation creates a sense of peace and security that is not dependent on external factors. It allows us to embrace who we truly are without the need for constant approval or recognition. Self-validation requires a shift in perspective. Instead of seeking validation from others, we learn to look inward and acknowledge our own feelings, experiences, and achievements. We recognize that our emotions, thoughts, and actions are valid regardless of whether others agree with them or not. We learn to trust ourselves, to honor our own needs and desires, and to validate our worth even in the absence of external affirmation. This process of self-validation also involves letting go of the need for perfection. When we stop seeking validation, we no longer feel the pressure to meet others' expectations or to be flawless in every aspect of our lives. We embrace our imperfections as part of our authentic selves. This acceptance of who we are without the need for approval or perfection leads to greater freedom, confidence, and fulfillment. While external validation is a natural part of being human, it should not be the foundation of our sense of self-worth. We must learn to validate ourselves, recognizing that our worth is intrinsic and not contingent on others' approval. When we shift our focus from seeking external validation to embracing self-validation, we can experience a deeper sense of peace, contentment, and authenticity. In doing so, we become less reliant on others for our emotional well-being and more empowered to live our lives according to our own truth and values. Control is an inherent desire in human nature. We seek to control our environment, our circumstances, and even ourselves, believing that by exerting control, we can create a sense of security and predictability in our lives. It is often driven by the need for safety, order, and certainty, as well as the belief that control will lead to success, stability, and fulfillment. However, control in its most rigid form can be limiting and ultimately counterproductive. It is essential to understand that while there are aspects of life we can influence, there are many things beyond our control. At its core, the desire for control comes from our need to feel competent and empowered in the face of uncertainty. As human beings, we naturally seek to make sense of the world around us, to create structures and systems that make us feel stable. This desire to control extends beyond our environment and into the realm of our own thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. We may attempt to control our reactions, our desires, and even the way we express ourselves in order to maintain a sense of mastery over our own lives. For example, when we face challenges, we may attempt to control the outcome by planning, organizing, and exerting forceful effort toward our goals. We may believe that if we work hard enough or control every variable, we will be able to dictate the results. And in many cases, this approach can bring some success, but the more we attempt to control every aspect of our lives, the more we risk feeling overwhelmed and frustrated when things inevitably do not go as planned. This is because life is inherently unpredictable, and despite our best efforts, we cannot control everything. External factors, other people's actions, and unforeseen events are beyond our control, and trying to force a desired outcome in these areas often leads to disappointment. The desire for control can also manifest in our relationships. Many people attempt to control others in order to maintain a sense of order or predictability. We may try to control the behavior, thoughts, or emotions of those around us, believing that by doing so, we can ensure that things stay harmonious and aligned with our expectations. However, this desire to control others can lead to resentment, conflict, and feelings of powerlessness. Relationships are most fulfilling when we allow others to be who they truly are without trying to mold them into a version that suits our preferences. Furthermore, the attempt to control can often lead to stress and anxiety. When we focus on controlling every outcome or detail, we place immense pressure on ourselves. We may fear that if we lose control, something catastrophic will happen or that we will fail. This fear of losing control creates a constant state of tension as we try to keep everything in our lives perfectly aligned. The more we struggle to control, the more we experience stress, frustration, and even a sense of helplessness when we inevitably face situations that are beyond our control. One of the most profound areas where control can be limiting is in our internal world, our thoughts and emotions. We often attempt to control how we feel, suppressing emotions like fear, sadness, or anger because we believe that they are signs of weakness or vulnerability. We may try to rationalize our feelings, push them aside, or numb ourselves in an attempt to maintain control over our emotional state. But emotions are natural, and attempting to suppress or control them only intensifies them. True emotional intelligence comes from recognizing and accepting our emotions rather than trying to control or ignore them. It involves allowing ourselves to feel, to experience, and to process emotions in a healthy way rather than letting them control us. The pursuit of control can also stifle growth and creativity. When we rigidly cling to the idea that we must control every aspect of our lives, we limit ourselves in the process. Control often involves following a specific plan, adhering to strict rules, and ensuring that everything aligns with our expectations. However, life is dynamic and constantly changing, and growth occurs when we allow ourselves to step into the unknown, to take risks, and to embrace uncertainty. Creativity too flourishes in environments where freedom and spontaneity are valued over rigid control. When we let go of the need to control every outcome, we create space for new ideas, new opportunities, and new experiences to unfold. So, if control can be limiting, what is the alternative? The key lies in embracing the balance between influence and surrender. While there are aspects of life we can control, such as our attitude, our actions, and our responses to challenges, there are many things that are beyond our reach. Recognizing this distinction is essential to living a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Instead of trying to control every situation, we can focus on what we can influence. We can control how we show up in the world, how we approach challenges, and how we engage with others. We can influence the direction of our lives by aligning our actions with our values and goals, but we must also accept that the outcome may not always be as we expect. Surrendering to the flow of life does not mean resigning ourselves to passivity or inaction. It means acknowledging that there are forces beyond our control, and instead of fighting against them, we can learn to flow with them. By releasing the need to control every aspect of our lives, we open ourselves to greater flexibility, freedom, and resilience. We become more adaptable, more open to new experiences, and less attached to rigid outcomes. This surrender allows us to experience life as it is without constantly battling against the current. The practice of mindfulness is one of the most powerful tools in letting go of the need for control. Mindfulness teaches us to be present in the moment, to observe our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, we cultivate awareness of the things we can control and the things we cannot. We become more attuned to the natural flow of life, and instead of forcing outcomes, we learn to respond to situations with a sense of acceptance and wisdom. Ultimately, control is a double-edged sword. While it can provide a sense of safety and structure, it can also limit our growth, creativity, and happiness. By learning to balance our desire for control with acceptance of the things we cannot change, we free ourselves from the constant tension of trying to impose order on an unpredictable world. The path to peace and fulfillment lies not in controlling every aspect of our lives, but in embracing the dance between influence and surrender, between action and acceptance. When we let go of the need to control, we allow life to unfold with greater ease, grace, and freedom. Identity is one of the most profound aspects of human experience. It is the sense of who we are, how we define ourselves, and the way we relate to the world around us. Our identity shapes every aspect of our lives, our decisions, our relationships, and the way we interact with others. It is an intricate tapestry woven from our personal experiences, our values, beliefs, cultural influences, and the roles we adopt in society. The question of who am I is a central question that many people grapple with throughout their lives, and the way we answer it can significantly impact our happiness, fulfillment, and sense of purpose. The foundation of our identity is built from the moment we are born. We begin to form an understanding of ourselves based on how others see us and how we are treated by those around us. As children, we often derive our identity from our family, community, and society. We internalize messages from our caregivers, teachers, and peers, and these early experiences help shape the beliefs we hold about ourselves. Over time, we continue to build our identity through the roles we play in life, whether as a student, a partner, a parent, a professional, or any number of other labels. These roles can become deeply ingrained in our sense of self. However, identity is not a fixed or static concept. It is fluid and can evolve over time. As we grow and encounter new experiences, we learn more about who we are, what we value, and what we want to contribute to the world. This ongoing process of self-discovery is a natural part of the human experience. The search for identity is often a journey of shedding old beliefs, letting go of external expectations, and embracing a deeper understanding of our true selves. In many ways, our identity is shaped by the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. These narratives, whether conscious or unconscious, reflect how we view our past, our present, and our future. We may identify ourselves based on our past experiences, such as our achievements, failures, or struggles. For example, we might identify as a successful professional, a loving parent, or someone who has overcome significant challenges. These stories are not inherently negative, but they can become limiting if they define us too rigidly. If we believe that our identity is solely based on past accomplishments or past failures, we may struggle to grow beyond those experiences. Another important aspect of identity is the influence of culture and society. From a young age, we are exposed to the values, beliefs, and norms of the culture we are part of. These cultural influences shape the way we perceive ourselves and others. In some cases, our sense of identity is strongly influenced by the expectations placed upon us by family, religion, nationality, and society. We may feel pressure to conform to certain standards or roles, and this can cause us to suppress parts of ourselves that do not fit within those predefined categories. The desire to belong is deeply tied to our sense of identity. We often seek validation and recognition from the groups we identify with, whether that is based on nationality, religion, social class, or any other collective grouping. The groups we belong to help shape how we define ourselves. In many cases, we become so attached to our group identities that we are unique individuals with our own personal experiences and perspectives. We may also become defensive or resistant to others who do not share our identities or beliefs, seeing them as threats to our own sense of self. One of the key challenges in identity formation is the tension between individual uniqueness and the collective pressures of society. On one hand, we are driven to assert our individuality, to carve out a sense of self that is distinct and authentic. On the other hand, we are deeply influenced by the social environments we inhabit, and we may feel the need to conform to fit in or be accepted. The process of finding our true identity often involves navigating this balanced understanding where we fit within the broader context of society while also remaining true to our unique essence. A significant aspect of identity is the way we define our worth. Many people tie their identity to external achievements such as their career, their appearance, or their social status. While these factors may contribute to our sense of self, they do not define our true worth. True identity is not based on what we have accomplished, how we look, or how others perceive us. It is rooted in a deeper understanding of our inherent value as human beings. When we base our identity on external factors, we set ourselves up for instability and insecurity. Our worth should not be determined by external validation, but by the recognition of our intrinsic value regardless of what we have or have not achieved. The search for identity can also be complicated by the expectations we place on ourselves. We may internalize societal standards of success, beauty, or happiness and feel pressured to live up to those ideals. This can create a conflict between who we truly are and who we think we should be. We may try to mold ourselves into a version that meets these external standards, even if it is not aligned with our authentic self. The key to finding a true sense of identity lies in the ability to step back and question these external expectations, allowing ourselves to discover who we are beyond the roles and labels that society imposes. In this journey of self-discovery, it is important to recognize that identity is not a fixed destination but an ongoing process. We are constantly evolving, and our sense of self will change as we grow, learn, and experience new things. Embracing this fluidity allows us to remain open to new possibilities and to adapt to the changes that life inevitably brings. It frees us from the need to cling to rigid definitions of who we are and enables us to cultivate a more flexible, authentic sense of self. Ultimately, identity is not about defining ourselves based on labels, achievements, or external validation. It is about understanding the essence of who we are beyond the roles we play or the expectations of others. True identity comes from within. It is a deep inner knowing of our value, our purpose, and our connection to the world around us. When we can let go of the need to define ourselves by external factors and embrace our true selves, we can live with greater freedom, authenticity, and peace. The search for identity is not about finding a fixed answer, but about exploring the depths of who we are and living in alignment with that truth. Emotions are powerful, innate experiences that shape the way we perceive the world and respond to the situations around us. They are an integral part of the human experience, influencing our thoughts, behaviors, and interactions with others. Emotions are the inner forces that color our lives, giving us the capacity to feel joy, sorrow, love, anger, fear, and countless other feelings that make up the rich tapestry of being human. Understanding emotions, how they arise, and how we manage them is key to living a fulfilling and balanced life. At their core, emotions are physiological responses to external stimuli or internal thoughts. They are signals that tell us how to interpret the events happening in our environment, and they often arise from our perceptions and beliefs. For example, fear can be triggered by a perceived threat, whether real or imagined. Joy can arise from experiences of connection, achievement, or fulfillment. Our emotions can range from fleeting moments of excitement to deep, persistent feelings of sadness or contentment. Emotions are often seen as automatic responses that come and go, but in reality, they are influenced by our thoughts and perceptions. The way we interpret an event or experience can greatly affect the emotional response we have. For example, two people might experience the same situation, but one may feel anger, while the other may feel empathy or understanding. Our past experiences, cultural background, and personal values all shape how we interpret the world and, by extension, how we feel about it. The purpose of emotions is to help us navigate our environment. They are evolutionary tools that have developed over time to protect and guide us. For instance, fear is designed to alert us to potential dangers, encouraging us to either fight or flee. Anger can arise when we feel wronged, prompting us to take action or establish boundaries. Happiness encourages us to continue behaviors that are beneficial to our well-being, while sadness can signal a need for change or growth. Each emotion serves a purpose, helping us respond appropriately to the world around us. However, emotions are not always simple or straightforward. Sometimes they can be overwhelming, contradictory, or difficult to understand. People often experience complex emotional states that involve a mixture of different feelings, such as feeling both happy and anxious at the same time. These emotional states can be triggered by many factors, including stress, personal conflicts, societal pressures, and even our own inner expectations. Understanding and managing emotions becomes crucial when they feel intense or unmanageable. One of the challenges with emotions is that they can sometimes lead to reactive behavior. When we allow ourselves to be swept up by intense emotions without understanding or processing them, we may act impulsively or in ways that do not align with our true values. For example, anger may prompt us to lash out or say something we later regret. Fear may cause us to avoid opportunities or challenges that could lead to personal growth. The key is not to suppress or ignore emotions, but to learn how to recognize and process them in a healthy, constructive way. Emotional intelligence plays a significant role in how we manage our emotions. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and regulate our emotions, as well as the ability to empathize with the emotions of others. People with high emotional intelligence are able to navigate complex emotional situations with greater ease, making thoughtful decisions rather than acting impulsively. They are also more likely to form healthy, fulfilling relationships because they are able to communicate and respond to emotions in a way that fosters mutual understanding and respect. One of the most powerful aspects of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. By being in tune with our emotions, we can identify how we are feeling and why we feel that way. This awareness allows us to pause before reacting, giving us the opportunity to choose a response that is aligned with our values and goals. Instead of being overwhelmed by emotions, we can approach them with curiosity and understanding, using them as a tool for growth and self-discovery. Another crucial aspect of managing emotions is learning to tolerate discomfort. Emotions, especially difficult ones like grief, anger, or anxiety, can be uncomfortable to experience. However, avoiding or suppressing these emotions only creates more tension and prevents us from fully processing them. Learning to sit with uncomfortable emotions and allowing ourselves to feel them without judgment is an important part of emotional growth. Over time, this practice builds resilience and helps us develop a deeper understanding of ourselves. Emotions also play a critical role in our relationships with others. They are the glue that connects us, allowing us to empathize, communicate, and build meaningful bonds. When we are open and honest about our emotions, we invite others into our world and create space for mutual support and understanding. On the other hand, when we hide our emotions or fail to communicate them effectively, it can lead to misunderstandings, resentment, and disconnection. Our emotional health can also be affected by external factors such as stress, trauma, and social influences. For example, chronic stress can lead to emotional exhaustion, making it harder to manage emotions effectively. Trauma, whether from past experiences or ongoing life challenges, can deeply impact how we feel and respond to the world. In these situations, it is important to seek support and develop coping strategies that promote emotional healing. The practice of mindfulness is one of the most effective tools for managing emotions. Mindfulness involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment, which helps us become more aware of our emotional states. By practicing mindfulness, we can learn to observe our emotions as they arise without becoming overwhelmed by them. This allows us to create space between stimulus and response, giving us greater control over how we react to our emotions. Over time, mindfulness can help us cultivate a greater sense of emotional balance and peace. Another approach to emotional management is self-compassion. When we are kind and understanding toward ourselves in moments of emotional struggle, we are better able to process and release difficult emotions. Self-compassion involves treating ourselves with the same kindness and care that we would offer to a loved one. It means recognizing that emotions, even difficult ones, are a natural part of life and that we do not need to criticize or judge ourselves for feeling them. Ultimately, emotions are not something to be feared or avoided, they are a vital part of what makes us human. By understanding, embracing, and managing our emotions, we can lead more authentic, connected, and fulfilling lives. Emotions, when processed and understood, are powerful sources of wisdom and insight, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationships with others. The key lies in learning to navigate them with awareness, compassion, and intention, using them as tools for growth and transformation. Choice is one of the most defining aspects of the human experience. It is the power to decide between alternatives, to act according to our preferences, and to shape the course of our lives. Every day we make countless choices, some small, others monumental. These choices reflect who we are, what we value, and what we seek in life. At its core, choice is about freedom, autonomy, and responsibility. It is the ability to direct our own path, even within the constraints of external circumstances. The capacity for choice is an empowering force. It grants us control over the direction of our lives, allowing us to set goals, pursue dreams, and create our own reality. Our choices define our experiences, shaping the quality of our relationships, our careers, and our overall sense of well-being. The simple act of choosing gives us agency, the ability to influence the outcomes of our actions and decisions. And yet, despite the freedom that choice provides, it can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially when the stakes are high or when the consequences are uncertain. One of the primary challenges that come with choice is the weight of responsibility. When we make a choice, we must also accept the consequences of that choice, whether they are positive or negative. This can be a source of anxiety, as the fear of making the wrong decision or facing undesirable outcomes can create tension and doubt. The pressure to make the best choice can sometimes paralyze us, leading to indecision or avoidance. This is particularly true when we are faced with choices that seem to have long-lasting or irreversible effects on our lives. But even in the face of uncertainty, it is essential to recognize that the act of choosing is, in itself, a form of empowerment. While no decision comes with a guarantee of a perfect outcome, each choice is an opportunity for growth, learning, and discovery. Often it is through making choices, whether they lead to success or failure, that we gain clarity about who we are, what we truly want, and what we are willing to risk. In this way, choice is not just about achieving a specific result, but about navigating the process of self-discovery and personal development. Our choices are often influenced by external factors such as societal expectations, cultural norms, and the opinions of others. From a young age, we are taught to make decisions based on what is considered right or acceptable by the groups we belong to. We may feel pressure to conform to these standards, whether it is in terms of career choices, relationships, or lifestyle. While these external influences can provide valuable guidance, they can also create inner conflict when they clash with our personal desires, values, or passions. The challenge then is to learn how to make choices that align with our authentic selves, rather than simply following the path that others expect us to take. At the heart of choice lies the concept of freedom. True freedom comes not from the absence of constraints, but from the ability to make decisions that reflect our deepest values and desires. When we are free to choose, we are not bound by the expectations or limitations imposed by others, but are able to express our individuality and create a life that is uniquely ours. This freedom is what enables us to pursue our passions, take risks, and chart our own course. However, freedom does not come without responsibility. The more freedom we have to choose, the more responsibility we must take for the outcomes of our decisions. Each choice carries a ripple effect, affecting not only our lives but also the lives of those around us. A key aspect of making empowered choices is self-awareness. When we are aware of our values, goals, and desires, we are better equipped to make choices that align with our true selves. Self-awareness allows us to filter out the noise of external expectations and tune into our inner wisdom. It helps us recognize when we are acting out of fear, pressure, or conformity, rather than making choices that resonate with who we truly are. In this sense, self-awareness is the foundation of authentic choice making, enabling us to navigate the complexities of life with clarity and confidence. Another important factor in making choices is the understanding that there is no such thing as a perfect decision. Every choice carries a degree of uncertainty and risk. Life is inherently unpredictable, and even the most well-thought-out decisions may not lead to the outcomes we expect. Rather than striving for perfection, the focus should be on making the best decision possible given the information available at the time. We must also be willing to embrace mistakes and failures as part of the learning process, recognizing that they are valuable opportunities for growth and self-improvement. In the modern world, the abundance of choices can sometimes lead to a phenomenon known as choice overload. With so many options available to us, whether in terms of career paths, relationships, or material possessions, it can be difficult to know where to start or which direction to take. This can create feelings of confusion, stress, and dissatisfaction. In such cases, it may be helpful to simplify the decision-making process by focusing on what truly matters. By narrowing our options to those that align with our core values and goals, we can reduce the sense of overwhelm and make choices with greater clarity and purpose. Choice is also closely tied to the concept of commitment. Once we make a decision, we must commit to it, fully embracing the consequences and responsibilities that come with it. Commitment requires discipline, focus, and perseverance, as well as the ability to adapt when things do not go as planned. It is easy to second guess our choices or to feel tempted by other possibilities, but true commitment means staying true to the path we have chosen, even when faced with challenges or setbacks. In relationships, choice plays a fundamental role in shaping the quality of our connections with others. We choose the people we spend time with, the values we share, and the ways in which we engage in communication and conflict resolution. Our relationships are the result of the choices we make, and the more consciously we choose to nurture healthy, respectful connections, the more fulfilling our relationships will be. The act of choosing love, kindness, and understanding in our interactions can transform the way we relate to others and build stronger, more meaningful bonds. Ultimately, the power of choice lies in its ability to shape the life we live. Each decision, no matter how small, carries the potential to influence our destiny. By embracing the responsibility that comes with choice and making decisions that reflect our true selves, we step into the fullness of our personal power. In this way, choice is not only an act of freedom but also an act of creation, as it allows us to craft a life that aligns with our deepest desires and aspirations. The more we recognize the importance of our choices, the more empowered we become to create a life that reflects our most authentic self. Awareness of patterns is a profound insight into how we as individuals interact with the world and process our experiences. Patterns are recurring behaviors, thoughts, emotions, or circumstances that shape the course of our lives. They often operate beneath the surface of our conscious awareness, guiding our responses and actions in ways that can be both beneficial and limiting. Becoming aware of these patterns is one of the most powerful steps toward personal growth and transformation. Patterns are not just random occurrences, they are the result of repeated thoughts, actions, and emotional responses that we have developed over time. These behaviors and reactions are often rooted in our past experiences, whether from childhood, relationships, or specific life events. For example, a person who consistently feels anxious in social situations may have developed that pattern based on early experiences of rejection or ridicule. Another person may find themselves in unhealthy relationships repeatedly, as they unknowingly gravitate toward familiar dynamics that mirror past emotional wounds. Understanding that patterns are not random but are learned and reinforced over time allows us to take control of them. Many of the patterns we operate from were once adaptive responses to the world around us, but they may no longer serve us in the present moment. We may have created emotional defenses or coping mechanisms in response to past trauma or challenges, but if these patterns persist into adulthood, they can limit our potential and prevent us from experiencing life in a fuller, more authentic way. The process of becoming aware of patterns begins with observation. Often we are so caught up in our day-to-day routines and reactions that we do not notice the repetitive nature of our behaviors. We might experience frustration, disappointment, or confusion when things do not seem to change, but the root cause of these emotions may lie in unconscious patterns that we continue to follow. The first step is to slow down and reflect on recurring situations or feelings in our lives by asking ourselves questions like, why do I keep ending up in this situation? Or what triggers this emotion in me? We begin to shine a light on the hidden patterns that are influencing our actions. One of the most significant challenges in becoming aware of patterns is the tendency to deny or avoid uncomfortable truths. Many of the patterns that we are trapped in stem from unresolved emotional wounds or unacknowledged fears. We may resist looking at these patterns because they bring up feelings of vulnerability or discomfort. However, by facing these patterns head on, we create an opportunity for healing and growth. Awareness is not about self criticism or judgment, it is about understanding and compassion. It is the ability to look at our behaviors with curiosity and openness rather than with shame or regret. Once we become aware of a particular pattern, the next step is to understand its origins. Why did we develop this pattern? What need or desire does it fulfill? Patterns are often formed as coping mechanisms to manage emotions, relationships, or external stressors. For instance, a person who consistently seeks approval from others may have learned early in life that love and validation were conditional on meeting the expectations of others. This pattern may have served them in childhood, but as an adult, it may prevent them from feeling truly authentic or confident in their decisions. Understanding the purpose that a pattern serves is key to breaking it. Often, our patterns are an attempt to fulfill a need or desire, whether it is the need for love, safety, recognition, or control. Once we become aware of the underlying need, we can begin to seek healthier ways to meet that need. This might involve learning new ways of coping with emotions, setting boundaries in relationships, or cultivating self-acceptance and self-love. It is through this process of consciously choosing new behaviors and responses that we begin to shift old patterns and create new, more empowering ones. Another important aspect of recognizing patterns is understanding their impact on our lives. Certain patterns may limit our potential, keep us stuck in unhealthy cycles, or cause us to make decisions that are not aligned with our true values. For example, a pattern of self-sabotage may cause a person to procrastinate on important tasks or avoid taking risks, even though they are capable of achieving success. By becoming aware of these patterns, we can make more conscious choices about how we respond to situations and what actions we take. We can ask ourselves, is this pattern helping me move closer to my goals or is it holding me back? This question can serve as a powerful tool for breaking free from limiting behaviors. Awareness of patterns also extends to our emotional reactions. Many of us react automatically to certain triggers, whether it is a situation, a person, or a memory. These emotional reactions may be rooted in past experiences, and by becoming aware of them, we can start to separate the past from the present. For instance, if we feel anger or fear in a situation that does not warrant such a strong emotional response, it may be a sign that we are carrying unresolved emotions from previous experiences. By observing these emotional patterns without judgment, we can learn to respond with greater emotional intelligence and mindfulness. Once we become aware of our emotional patterns, we can begin to reframe the stories we tell ourselves. Often, our emotional responses are tied to the narratives we have created about ourselves and the world. These stories may be limiting or distorted, and by rewriting them, we can shift our emotional patterns. For example, if we have a pattern of feeling inadequate or unworthy in certain situations, it may be because we have internalized a story from our past that we are not good enough. By challenging that story and replacing it with one of self-empowerment and confidence, we can begin to shift our emotional responses and create new patterns of thought and behavior. Breaking free from old patterns requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to face discomfort. It is a process of deconstructing long-held beliefs and habits and replacing them with new, more constructive ones. This process often involves trial and error. There may be setbacks and challenges along the way. However, with each new awareness and shift, we create greater freedom for ourselves and our lives. As we release old patterns that no longer serve us, we open up space for new possibilities, deeper connections, and more fulfilling experiences. Ultimately, awareness of patterns is not about achieving perfection or avoiding mistakes. It is about becoming conscious of the forces that drive our behavior and creating the freedom to choose new, healthier ways of responding to life. By recognizing our patterns, understanding their origins, and consciously shifting them, We empower ourselves to create lives that are aligned with our highest potential. Awareness in this sense becomes the key to transformation, leading us from unconscious repetition to conscious creation. Our relationship with life is the foundation upon which our entire experience is built. It is not just about the circumstances or events that unfold around us, but how we engage with and interpret those events. This relationship shapes our perception of the world, our sense of purpose, and our ability to navigate both the joys and challenges that life presents. Understanding this relationship is crucial because it determines the quality of our existence, whether we experience as a journey of growth, fulfillment, and joy, or as a struggles of series of obstacles. At its core, our relationship with life is shaped by how we view ourselves, our purpose, and the world around us. The way we interact with life, whether we embrace it with openness or resist it with fear and defensiveness, can deeply impact the experiences we have. Life is inherently unpredictable, filled with both beauty and pain, success and failure, love and loss. How we respond to these contrasts influences the depth and richness of our experience. Many of us go through life operating on autopilot, reacting to events without consciously considering how we are engaging with them. We may find ourselves caught in a cycle of stress, frustration, or dissatisfaction, feeling disconnected from the flow of life. In such instances, it can be helpful to step back and reflect on our relationship with life. Are we approaching life with a sense of openness and curiosity, or are we caught in patterns of resistance and avoidance? Do we see life as an opportunity for learning and growth, or as something to be endured or controlled? A key element of cultivating a positive relationship with life is developing a sense of acceptance. Life, by its very nature, is unpredictable, and trying to control every aspect of it can lead to frustration and suffering. Accepting that life is full of both uncertainties and mysteries allows us to surrender to the flow of experience. Acceptance does not mean passively resigning ourselves to circumstances, but rather acknowledging that there are aspects of life that are beyond our control. By embracing life as it unfolds, we open ourselves up to greater peace and resilience. This sense of acceptance also requires us to embrace both the light and the dark aspects of life. It is easy to be in a harmonious relationship with life when things are going well, but true depth of connection comes from embracing the challenges, the pain, and the difficulties as well. Life struggles are often the catalyst for our greatest growth. They push us to question, to learn, and to evolve. Our relationship with life deepens when we can see challenges not as obstacles but as opportunities for transformation. Furthermore, our relationship with life is intricately linked to our sense of purpose. When we have a clear sense of what we value, what we are passionate about, and what we want to contribute to the world, life takes on a deeper meaning. Purpose serves as a guiding light, helping us navigate through the ups and downs with a sense of direction and clarity. A person who is aligned with their purpose feels more connected to life, as if they are part of something greater than themselves. They can approach life with intention, knowing that their actions have meaning and that they are contributing to the world in a way that feels authentic. On the other hand, when we are disconnected from our sense of purpose, we may feel adrift, lacking motivation or fulfillment. Life may feel hollow or aimless, and we may find ourselves going through the motions, reacting to circumstances rather than actively engaging with them. Reconnecting with our purpose requires introspection, self-discovery, and a willingness to listen to our inner voice. It may involve reevaluating our values, letting go of outdated beliefs, and seeking new opportunities for growth and exploration. Another critical aspect of our relationship with life is the way we interact with others. Our relationships with family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers profoundly influence our experience of life. Life is not meant to be lived in isolation. It is about connection, collaboration, and mutual support. The quality of our relationships determines how we experience love, compassion, joy, and even hardship. When we cultivate deep, meaningful connections with others, we enrich our own lives and contribute to the well-being of others. Moreover, our relationship with life is shaped by how we view ourselves. Self-acceptance, self-compassion, and self-awareness are all key components of a positive relationship with life. How we treat ourselves, the way we speak to ourselves, and how we acknowledge our strengths and weaknesses determine the foundation of our overall experience. If we hold a harsh, critical relationship with ourselves, life can feel like a constant battle. But when we develop kindness and understanding toward ourselves, life becomes a space for healing, growth, and love. The practice of mindfulness can be incredibly powerful in enhancing our relationship with life. Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present in the moment without judgment or distraction. By practicing mindfulness, we are able to engage with life as it is without becoming lost in past regrets or future anxieties. Mindfulness allows us to experience life more deeply, appreciating the beauty and richness of the present moment. It also helps us respond more consciously to life's challenges rather than reacting impulsively out of habit or conditioning. In addition to mindfulness, gratitude is another transformative practice that deepens our relationship with life. When we cultivate a sense of gratitude for the things we have, our health, relationships, opportunities, and even the small joys, we begin to see life as a gift rather than a struggle. Gratitude shifts our perspective, allowing us to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. It helps us recognize the richness in our lives even in times of difficulty. The practice of gratitude connects us to life in a way that fosters contentment and joy, regardless of external circumstances. It is also important to acknowledge that our relationship with life evolves over time. As we grow and change, so too does our understanding of life. What once seemed important or relevant may no longer hold the same significance, and new insights and experiences may shape our outlook. This evolution is a natural part of the human experience, and embracing change allows us to live more fully. Life is not a static entity, it is dynamic, fluid, and ever-changing. Our ability to adapt and flow with life's changes enhances our relationship with it, allowing us to remain open to new possibilities and experiences. Ultimately, our relationship with life is a reflection of how we choose to engage with the world, ourselves, and others. Life is not something that happens to us, it is something we actively participate in. When we approach life with openness, acceptance, and a sense of purpose, we create a fulfilling and meaningful existence. Our relationship with life, like any relationship, requires ongoing attention, reflection, and growth. By nurturing this relationship, we create a life that is rich with meaning, connection, and transformation. In the end, our relationship with life is a mirror of how we choose to perceive and interact with the world around us. It is shaped not by the circumstances that we face, but by the attitude and mindset we bring to each experience. Life, in all its complexities, offers us the opportunity to grow, learn, and transform. When we engage with it consciously, embracing both its joys and challenges, we not only enhance the quality of our own existence, but also contribute to the collective experience of humanity. Let us remember that we are not passive recipients of life, but active participants in its unfolding. By nurturing a relationship with life that is grounded in awareness, acceptance, and purpose, we step into the fullness of our potential, creating a journey that is rich in meaning, connection, and growth. This is the essence of truly living.